In the ancient world, long before modern civilizations emerged, there was a time when knowledge, power, and belief were deeply intertwined. Humanity was advancing, but not in harmony. Alongside progress, corruption was spreading like an invisible disease. People were no longer satisfied with understanding the world through patience, faith, or wisdom alone. Instead, they began to seek shortcuts, hidden knowledge, forbidden practices, and unnatural control over fate itself. Among all ancient cities, Babylon stood as the center of this transformation. It was not just a city, but a symbol of human ambition. Towering walls surrounded streets filled with merchants, scholars, priests, and rulers. Beneath its grandeur, however, something far more unstable was growing. Knowledge was no longer purely sacred. It was becoming a tool, something that could be traded, twisted, and weaponized. In this environment of rising imbalance, ancient traditions speak of a divine decision. Two beings were chosen for a mission that would blur the boundary between the celestial and the earthly. Their names were Harut and Marut. They were angels, not like humans, not like anything bound to earth. They were created from pure obedience, existing without ego, without desire, without internal conflict. In their realm, there was no doubt, no temptation, no hesitation, only clarity and submission to divine will. But this mission required them to leave that perfect state. Before descending, they were given a warning that would define everything that followed. You will be sent among humanity. You will witness deception, desire, and corruption. Do not lose your purity. Do not misuse the knowledge entrusted to you. You are not sent to rule them, nor to become like them, but to serve as a test for them and for yourselves. With that command, Harut and Marut descended from the unseen realm into the physical world, arriving in Babylon. The moment they entered the human world, everything changed. The silence of their existence was replaced with overwhelming noise. The clarity of their realm was replaced with chaos. Babylon was alive in a way they had never experienced, not through stillness or divine order, but through constant movement, conflict, and desire. At first, they did not intervene. They observed. They saw merchants who did not simply sell goods, but illusions of value, convincing people that objects carried meaning far beyond their reality. They saw priests conducting rituals where truth and deception were indistinguishable. They saw scholars exchanging wisdom not for enlightenment, but for wealth and influence. And they saw ordinary people, burdened by fear of the unknown, turning toward hidden forces to gain control over their lives. In Babylon, magic was not just myth. It was believed to be a system of hidden laws, a way to influence emotions, fate, love, and destruction. It existed in the minds of those who sought power more than understanding. Harut and Marut were given a specific mission to teach humanity certain forms of knowledge. But this knowledge was never meant to be freely used. It always came with a warning, a boundary that should not be crossed. Every time they taught, they repeated the same truth. This is only a test. Do not use this knowledge for corruption. Do not turn understanding into harm. But human nature is fragile when faced with temptation. At first, people approached cautiously. They listened, they learned, they questioned. But as the teachings spread through Babylon, the meaning of knowledge began to change. What was once shared as a warning became a tool. What was once meant to reveal truth became a method of control. People learned how to influence emotions through subtle actions. They learned how to create illusions of trust and fear. They learned how to manipulate perception, not through force, but through understanding human weakness. And slowly, Babylon began to transform once again, not into chaos through ignorance, but chaos through knowledge itself. Harut and Marut witnessed this transformation in silence, and as they remained among humans longer, something within their experience began to shift. They began to perceive what they had never known before, not just systems or logic, but emotion itself. They saw love forming between people, fragile and unpredictable. They saw jealousy destroying relationships. They saw ambition pushing individuals beyond their limits. They saw grief that could not be explained by reason alone. Concepts that were simple in their realm became infinitely complex in the human world. This was part of the test, though they did not yet fully understand its depth. Then came the moment that would define the legend forever. A woman from Babylon approached them. She was not described in simple terms, because in every retelling, she represents something more than a person. She was awareness, temptation, and understanding combined. She knew how desire worked. She understood influence not as magic, but as psychology, the ability to shape perception itself. She did not fear the angels. She questioned them. She spoke to them about existence, about experience, about what it meant to truly live rather than only observe. She challenged the boundary between duty and desire, between obedience and experience, and in doing so, she introduced them to a concept they had never faced before, the possibility of choice beyond command. For the first time, Harut and Marut were not just witnesses. They were participants in a moral conflict, and deep within their existence, the warning they had received echoed once again. You will be tested. But Babylon was not a place where clarity remained pure. It distorted everything, thoughts, intentions, perception, even truth itself. In such a place, even a single moment of hesitation could feel like an eternity. Different traditions interpret what followed in different ways. Some say the angels remained faithful and never crossed the line. Others say they succumbed to temptation and were punished by being bound between earth and the heavens, neither fully divine nor fully human, eternally aware of what they had witnessed and experienced. But all versions of the story converge on one central truth. Harut and Marut became a warning that transcends time, a reminder that knowledge alone is never dangerous, but desire within knowledge changes everything. That even beings of pure origin, when placed in the environment of human temptation, are confronted with limits they had never known before. And Babylon, the city that once stood as the center of power and knowledge, eventually fell like all empires do. Its walls collapsed, its temples became ruins, and its language faded into history. But its story remained, because it was never just about angels or a city. It was about humanity itself and the fragile line between wisdom and corruption, between understanding and desire, between what we know and what we choose to do with it.